Today was definitely the scariest day I've had in the hospital in my entire life. Easily that. One of the most exciting days, fun days, things I've learned the most in my entire life as well, but definitely the scariest day I've ever had in the hospital. So this is what happened. I'm on my first clinical rotation ever, and this rotation is obstetrics and gynecology, and specifically I'm on obstetrics. It's week 3, so I want to get there early because they asked me to kind of look at 2 patients before everything happens. So I check up on 2 patients, I do like a history, a physical, I see kind of how these patients were, because these are usually patients that gave birth yesterday, either by kind of C-section or spontaneous vaginal delivery. That's just like regular birth. So I'm going to check up on those patients. So yeah, I'm up really early, crazy early, because I have to get ready, get changed, and just get to the hospital. Of course, I can't start any day with some lovely oatmeal. Okay, so let's talk about all this junk in front of me. I have this really nice little notepad, and what this notepad is for is just like when I go into a room with the doctor, or when I go in alone and I forget something or need to write something down, I'll write it down on this pad. I also like to keep track of all the patients I see, and I write their kind of name and a few little bits of information here. I just have to be very careful with it to keep it HIPAA compliant, so I always know where it is. And when also I'm done with that sheet of paper, I'll shred it in like a specified shredder. Okay. Time to go. Okay, I'm here at the hospital. It's about 5:30 in the morning, and I'm gonna go in and see like 2 or 3 patients, write a note on them, report back to the resident attending physician, and go from there. And then there'll be sign out. So the residents that were here overnight will sign out the patients from last night to us, the day team, and then we'll kind of go around and see some patients. And then we kind of sit on labor and delivery and wait for kind of the new babies to come. My guess is there'll be probably like 1 or 2 C-sections today, maybe 3, and there'll probably be like anywhere from 4 to 10 baby deliveries. And I'll probably be a part of probably 2 to 3 vaginal deliveries and maybe 1 to 2 C-sections or cesarean sections. But yeah, it's exciting. I'm gonna go in now, and I would bring this monstrous camera in, but I think that would not only get me kicked out of the hospital, but get me kicked out of medical school, so I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, I will see you all in 12 to 14 hours.
Many hours later.
Today was definitely the scariest day I've had in the hospital in my entire life. Easily that. One of the most exciting days, fun days, things I've learned the most in my entire life as well, but definitely the scariest day I've ever had in the hospital. So this is what happened. So it's 5:30. I come in, I pre-round on patients, I see them, I take a basic history and physical, report that back to the team. 7 o'clock is sign out. 8 o'clock, not doing much. 12 o'clock, and what I do in between 8 and 12 is I just kind of study, read my book, do practice questions, Anki, all that kind of good stuff. 12:30, a birth happens. And then here's where the scariest most exciting thing, but coolest and craziest thing happened. So they're checking up this patient, there's twins, so they go to check mom, and when they check mom, right, if the cervix is this, and closer to me is the uterus, and closer to you guys is the vagina. Remember, the uterus, the cervix, then the vagina. So when you come in, you go through the vagina, right, and you go to the cervix, and what the resident was noticing, the fourth-year resident, is that something was sticking out of the cervix. And this is really, really scary, right? Because if this is the umbilical cord, if this is an umbilical cord prolapse, then it's going to be a rush thing. What she noticed is that this was not the umbilical cord, but it's the foot. And that's not good news, because what she then did, which is when the world kind of exploded and things went really crazy, the craziest I've ever seen anything happen in the hospital. I've only been there 3 weeks, but this is the craziest thing that I've ever seen, the most stressed I've seen anyone so far, is that she put her finger, so the foot's here, remember, the foot's kind of coming out of the cervix like this on this side. The resident puts her finger in, and she kind of feels a little bit deeper into the uterus past the cervix, and she notices the cord there. So that's really, really bad news, right? Because if the cord comes out, the cord maybe isn't going to be able to give baby enough blood, and if baby don't get enough blood, remember the blood has oxygen, nutrients, all this kind of things. Oxygen is probably one of the most important things. There's a good chance baby's going to be very sick or die if there's a prolapse and you don't fix it. So here's where things got really, really crazy. So the resident's feeling in there. I kind of see her face. She did really amazingly. She was really calm, but I kind of see her face change from like, okay, what's going on, to like, this is not good. And the nurse, it's interesting because obviously the patient's right there and you don't want to scare the patient and things like that, but things have to start happening very quickly, and you need to let everyone know that things need to start happening very quickly to save kind of baby life. And this isn't just one baby, remember, this is 2 babies, this is twin baby life. So the resident's like, okay, we have a cord, get the attending physician. And so the next thing that happens is the nurse just literally, I haven't seen this once. I've been there 3 weeks. I've been there 12 hours a day. I haven't seen this once. The nurse literally opens the door and yells up, we have a cord, we have a cord. Then it's just, I'm not going to curse, but it's pandemonium. Literally, there's like 10 people in the nursing station. They all rush, because what they have to do now is we have to do a stat C-section, so we have to get those babies out ASAP. Keep in mind, you have to hold the cord in the whole time, so someone has to stay inside with their hands on that cord the entire time. So this is a scene I don't think I'll ever forget. So the resident switches with a nurse to kind of have their finger in there to hold the cord back, because if the cord goes through the cervix, that's a real prolapsed cord, and that is really, really bad news, right? Because again, baby doesn't get enough blood, baby doesn't get enough oxygen, baby could die. Not good stuff. So this is the image I'll never forget. So we're in a room, a regular labor and delivery room, but we have to go to the OR now to do a stat C-section. So everyone's freaking out. The attending physician, as it happens, was very chill. He's a very cool guy, really cool guy. But he's like, oh, okay, here we go. Let's get into this. But he was so chill, just walking through the halls. It was amazing. Anyway, so the nurse replaces the resident physician, because the resident physician has to scrub in, they have to clean all their hands, make sure they're sterile, because you're going to be cutting into someone's stomach, right? You don't want to have any infection or anything like that, any chance of infection or anything like that. So the nurse now has her finger inside the cervix, kind of holding back this cord with the foot kind of right there. And the craziest thing, because I was running back to the OR as well to help, even though I didn't do any help, to kind of mostly watch, but help in any way, shape, or form I could. But as I'm standing there in the OR, I open the door to kind of hold the door, because that seems where I can be kind of the best kind of help. Hold the door, hold the door. So I'm holding the door, and I see running down the hallway is like a team of 5 people around this bed. There's the mom, and then kneeling on the bed, I see the nurse, and her hand is inside the vagina, through the cervix, pushing back kind of that cord. And it was amazing. It was just this lady kneeling on a bed inside another woman with her hand, kind of saving the baby's life, right? But it's a scene I'll never forget, of them running down the cart with just literally a nurse kind of on top of this woman. It was insanity. And then the next things happened really quickly. So unfortunately, the lady did not have a epidural in, because usually if the lady had an epidural in, right, they could proceed with the surgery, they could proceed with everything because mom's kind of numb from this midline down. But the issue was she didn't have an epidural, but they needed to do a stat C-section, so she had to be kind of intubated and put under general anesthesia, which is kind of dangerous because we don't want the reason you do an epidural, to my knowledge, is you don't want babies to kind of get any of these kind of general anesthesia drugs, because that's bad news. But they had to do that because they had to put mom under because she didn't have an epidural. So mom goes under, and because of this happens, they have to get neonatologists. So a whole neonatologist team now has to be involved. A doctor, a team of nurses, a whole set of people comes rushing into the room. And this is the busiest I've seen this OR. I've done a couple C-sections, I've done a couple twin deliveries, but this was a stat C-section on a twin delivery for pretty much very close to prolapsed cord, which is crazy. In my 3 weeks, my short stint here, I've never seen this amount of tension and people freaking out. It was crazy. It was really, really cool, but also really scary, right? Because you're worried about mom, you're worried about babies, and everyone's freaking out to do the best they can to kind of get mom and babies okay. So the neonatologist team is here, the residents here, the attendings here, the nurse tech is here, the charge nurse is here, a bunch of other nurses around, and I counted at one point, and I think there were 14 people in this one OR. And this OR is not a big place. It's maybe like a 13 by 13 foot room. It's not a huge room at all, and it's just stuffed with people. So I kind of stood in the back, tried to be, again, as least in way as I possibly could. So then what happens is it's very quick. As soon as she was under, they kind of cut through the belly. They pull the babies out. They're all working really, I've been in a couple again, and they worked amazingly fast. They pull babies out. Babies are fine. Mom is fine. And then luckily for me, I got to watch it all, right, and everyone was fine, so everything was a little less tense. But then the resident was like, okay, Zach, you can scrub in now. So it was cool. Kind of I got to scrub in at the end and kind of help out as much as I could. But yeah, that was the scariest, most tense kind of 2 hours. That was the fastest 2 hours I've ever seen. That was the fastest 2 hours I've had in the hospital yet, the scariest 2 hours I've had in the hospital, and kind of the most exciting, even though it's kind of for morbid reasons, the most exciting 2 hours I've had in the hospital. But yeah, that was my day here. It was really, really amazing. It's 6, I've been talking here for like 30, 45 minutes about this one thing, because it was amazing. Even just for me to have, it's amazing. Today was the scariest and craziest day I've had so far in the hospital. Really amazing. Really scary, but really cool. Here's the rest of my day is going to entail. I'm not going to show you it because it's going to be boring. I'm going to take these nasty scrubs off because they are really nasty at this point. And then after I take these nasty scrubs off, I'm going to shower, eat my sushi, put on pajamas in that order, so I'll just be naked eating sushi. No, I'm not going to do that. Edit YouTube videos for like an hour, and then watch an episode of Adventure Time, and go to bed. And it all starts again tomorrow. But if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.